Hey everyone, go blue and hit that like button. NFL draft disrespect, portal comings and goings, and recruiting news all coming at you next on a special Monday episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. My name is John D'Adamo, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour or so. It's the 145th episode. We are stacking up the episodes here, folks. Also, we do want to remind everybody to hit that like button. It just takes a second, and then the algorithm gets pushed out. More people come in, and we have a great old party. Bring your Michigan friends, bring your Buckeye friends. Come hate watch. I don't care. It's all viewership, and it's all great. Subscribe to the Michigan Football, the voice of college football, so we can beat Ohio State. And share this YouTube link out with at least one person. Or maybe go to Facebook and put it there, or maybe go to a Discord chat and put the YouTube link there. And if you want any inspiration, just do what Jackson Johnson does every single week, promoting the shows on the voice of college football. And that's your example that you can consider. Send us a super chat if you want your comment or question. We have a lot of content, as usual, a lot to talk about. So send a super chat if you want your comment or question for sure to be read on screen. Otherwise, I'll do my best, but I make no promises. Also, last thing, and then we're going to bring on our all-star panel and co-host and Ferris. But we do have now every morning you put on your pot of coffee, and then you go watch Wake Up College Football on the main channel, Voice of College Football, every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern with Mark Rogers. He's made bacon and eggs. He's made smoothies. It's a good time. Check it out. And from then on, I got my our co-host, new co-host. We got TJ in the house. TJ, welcome back. And what a week again of off-season content here.
Yeah, hell yeah, John. Yeah, the news doesn't stop. We got a bunch to talk about, a bunch of recruiting. A lot of intel going on there, and hey man, it's Michigan football, man. We only have 4 more months till spring practice or fall practice starts. So
it's coming up. It'll be here before we know it.
Hey, I'm counting the days, man.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
And this guy is our analytics expert on the Michigan channel and does a series called Smash the Numbers. We've got Ferris Khan in the house. Ferris, welcome back. Go blue.
Go blue, coming to you from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Went to the Red Sox game yesterday. Wore this hat. Actually, I gave it to my dad. My dad said he was feeling a little cold, so I had him wear it. Met some Giants fans, and I told them about this channel. They were San Francisco Giants fans, even though they went to the Cubs game. I guess they wanted to go to multiple games, whatever. But I told them to go to this channel. So if you're there, Giants fans, thank you for attending here. I did my part in Fenway Park.
There you go.
Giants fans, welcome. Anybody's welcome here. Even the Buckeyes. That's right. So we also have Mike Fort. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. We just said hi and we said go blue. So you didn't miss much. We're actually getting started right now with the NFL draft. So Michigan had a historic entry into the NFL draft. One of the highest amount of players ever entered into the draft. 13 were actually drafted. But I would argue, even despite that, with the amount of talent that Michigan had, there's going to be some teams getting some serious value on some of these players, like Cornelius Johnson going 7th round. Some of these, like even Chris Jenkins not going 1st round, so not as much, signing bonus money there. With the exception of J.J. McCarthy going 1st round, I think Michigan actually was a little bit undervalued, and so some of these teams are gonna make out pretty well. TJ, what was your take on the draft and where, kind of in general, Michigan players and what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, it started out really strong. I think we had like 7 taken in the first 3 rounds, which was a Michigan record. We had 13 players taken overall, which is a Michigan record. So it was still a good weekend overall. And then, 5th round, it started to slow down. We got nobody taken in the 6th round. And then in the 7th round, we got ourselves a 13. So, I did think we would pull a little bit more. I was surprised to see Barnhart not drafted. Let's see who else. I don't know, there's a couple others, but like all in all, it went well. I think
Trente Jones.
No, I could see why he didn't get drafted, man. I don't know why he didn't come back. He didn't have a lot of reps. I think he's a good offensive tackle, though. And I think he's going to be good on a practice squad developmental position for him. But I can understand that one. Josh Wallace. I don't know. I feel like he was a solid corner, 7th round guy. But the truth is, this was
Ladarius. Ladarius.
No, Darius got drafted.
He got drafted?
Yeah, he got drafted by the Texans in the 7th round.
Seventh round.
Yes.
Yep. Checking my notes.
Okay.
But, it was a deep draft for corners, so I can understand why Josh Wallace wasn't drafted. But, I mean, all in all, it was a good weekend for us. Unfortunately, we couldn't break Georgia's record. That would have been really sweet. But, I think I think it's a weekend we could still be proud of. I think Michigan can be proud of. And, it's just another badge of honor for Michigan.
Yeah, Ferris.
Yeah. I really thought we were going to break the record. I also thought JJ was going to be in the top 5. So slipping to 10 was a little disappointing there. I think what happens a lot of times is players get graded as a 6th or 7th round, but then if you add up all the players that are in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, it's more than the number of players that can be picked in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. So I think nobody actually does the math on the back end to kind of say, wait a minute, you can't have that many players that are projected 5th, 6th, 7th round because some of them aren't going to make it. So I think it was basically that. It was nice to see Zach Zinter get drafted in the 3rd round. There was a big question mark in terms of the injuries.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
The Browns needed that that type of player too. Like he's gonna work his ass off for the Browns.
Yeah, absolutely. The Chris Jenkins slipping, and then the other thing is it was interesting. I thought Harbaugh might go Blake Corum, but he ended up going Junior Colson,
Right.
And so it was sort of like maybe he needed back-to-back picks there, but he picked one of them, and so that was good. It makes sense. Junior Colson makes sense. So Blake Corum is going to LA, but to the other team in LA. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah. So and we will get to a couple of those. But before we do, kind of high level for you guys, like biggest surprise, whether it's positive, negative, whatever, like biggest surprise for you. And we'll start with with Michigan, like the biggest surprise, and then we'll go with non-Michigan, like any other team. But yeah, for Michigan.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to JJ, and
Okay.
I was pretty confident, that he would go in the top 5.
Yeah,
and I thought that, okay, if New England doesn't take him, it was basically 50-50, May or JJ, and they were almost talking themselves into JJ. So they didn't take him, and then I thought at 4, that's where Minnesota would have traded up to 4 or 5, somewhere in there. That didn't happen. That surprised me. And then I guess tied to that, I'll do the non-JJ.
Yeah.
Penix. So all of a sudden,
yes.
what is going on with Penix? I mean, if you look at it in terms of just need, if you are going to get a quarterback to be the backup to somebody you expect to be the quarterback, your franchise quarterback for at least 4 years, and that's what the GM said, 4 to 5 years, that Penix might have to wait. So that's just crazy. You would think that you'd pick JJ, the player who's 3 years younger, instead of Penix, who's going to be 28 years old before, he can sort of get started, barring any, whatever injury or something crazy happening, So it was just very weird that Penix picked to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all agree that the Penix pick was like kind of out of nowhere. I didn't, I mean, I know Penix is good. I figured he was a first round quarterback. I'm not surprised to see JJ slip to 11 and I always felt like Minnesota was the best fit. I think, to be honest, that's the best outcome, period. It couldn't really be any better. I don't think there's a team that's better suited for JJ considering the weapons and the coaching staff they have there. So, I think that's good. But yeah, I mean, I think the Penix thing, if I was going to throw another surprise, I'm surprised the Lions took 2 corners in a row. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that coming. But I mean, other than that, I think it kind of went a little as expected. Oh, another surprise. I'll give you one. No defensive players were taken in the first 14 picks.
That's shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts. I couldn't believe it.
That was the first time ever.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, one little other side note for Minnesota, they picked JJ and then they picked Dallas Turner. I would have never guessed. I could never imagine without. I mean, they did some maneuvering, but not anything major. That they would be able to get both with basically the original picks that they had. With the slight upgrades. And Dallas Turner and JJ were in probably one of the most iconic plays of Rose Bowl history, where Dallas Turner was crushing JJ. He had to catch that ball one-handed and then make that throw a second later. So that was it's kind of funny that they got them both, on the same team. Hopefully they don't practice at full tilt against each other. So
yeah, Drufus, Washington is an 8-win team without Penix. Well, don't forget, Drufus. It wasn't. Penix had some weapons. A guy named Rome Odunze. He had some serious weapons on that team, and he is good. I mean, we saw him when he was at Indiana, 3 years ago, and he was good. So I think we knew he was going to be something. We just that pick. Colin Cowherd defended it. He said it's insurance, in case anything happens to Kirk Cousins, or maybe he's just not quite as good and Penix beats him out, then there's insurance. But then you've got so much dead space there. I mean, that contract, it just didn't make sense to me to take a quarterback. People are saying Green Bay, it happened. Well, Aaron Rodgers was still in his prime, number one. Also, Kirk Cousins hasn't played a snap yet for the Falcons. So the two situations are very different. So yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. I have respect for Penix, but that was a bit high. So I'm with you there. So with Michigan players and kind of some of the best fits. So I think the Vikings had a slam dunk decision with JJ there. Number one, they didn't have to go up to 4 or 5 or 6 to get him, right? They could wait till 10. So with that said, there's not as much urgency where he has to play game 1, right? They could do what they did with Baker Mayfield at the Browns, right? They could have Sam Darnold start 2 or 3 games. JJ can sit, he can learn. Or if JJ beats out Sam Darnold just hands down, JJ starts game 1. We'll see, obviously, in the preseason when they light it up and JJ gets a chance to sling it, what could happen. But what do we think about this fit and the weapons and the coach that he has, who's been really good with quarterbacks, O'Connell. So TJ, what did you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we could name a better fit. I mean, I think the situation's right. They're a team that's not on the decline. I mean, they're really not. Their offense is strong. Their defense, it has some holes defensively, but they're not weak. I just think in terms of the best incubator for a young quarterback is Minnesota Vikings, and he got it. So, we'll see what JJ can do with it. I'm looking forward to preseason football and kind of getting our first look at him. Obviously he's in my division now with the Lions, so that'll be interesting. But I'm happy for him, honestly. I think it is his best fit. Lions bias aside, I think it's his best fit.
Yeah, things are going to get really interesting because you've got Caleb there and JJ in the same division with the Lions. You know, so there'll be kind of a natural rivalry between the two young quarterbacks. So that'll be interesting. I want to trademark JJ to JJ. I've been trying to do that for the last couple weeks. That's good. That's what's going to happen, hopefully. And this is kind of I agree. This is the ideal situation because for JJ, he can be. He can, I know a lot of people say game manager, JJ, whatever, but he can be sort of a game manager-ish, conservative kind of quarterback and get the ball to JJ, use the weapons that they have. And then over time, he can use his speed. He can start throwing on the run. He can start doing some other stuff. It's really, helps now and then grow for later at the same time. And just remember, JJ versus Penix, we are talking about 3 full years. So think of what JJ could be in 3 years, not what he exactly is today.
Yeah, Trepa. Yeah, I'm only saying that, the urgency to play someone if they go number 1 overall versus number 10 overall is different because of the amount of signing bonus money and just the fact that, okay, they're one of the top 1, 2, 3 picks. So I'm just saying that the option is there. Whereas the Bears, they can't sit Caleb Williams for 6 games. They just can't, right? But with this situation, if needed, he could. And Sam Darnold could hit a couple of the early games. But, my guess is that JJ is going to beat out Sam Darnold. I think he's better than Sam Darnold. But I'm just saying that the option's there, if they need it. So in addition to JJ, we've also got so Jim Harbaugh is now, as we know, at the Chargers. I was watching the where he was out with his RV, and the RV looks pretty nice. And then they brought Greg Roman, offensive coordinator, and he had an RV, and his RV looked like a freaking Caesar's Palace in there. I was like, damn, these people are living good right now in these RVs. It was an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'll give you a little RV commentary because I feel like I'm not an RV expert, but I see them all the time in Southern California. It is so funny in Encinitas, California, in particular. It's kind of a surfing community, and you've got people who are in these RVs or vans. I think I would call Jim Harbaugh as more of a van. So he's got a van. You've got people with their lawn chairs on top of the RV watching the sunset, blocking the $1 million homes, parallel parking, blocking the $1 million homes right behind them. It's really funny. I go on walks sometimes over there, and I just kind of laugh at what they do. But I would agree that Harbaugh did not have the best RV. So my RV analysis is he probably needs somebody to help him clean that RV up a little bit. So
we need to smash
a cleaning
the
person
series.
Every couple of weeks would probably be a good idea for him. So
we need to smash the numbers analysis on the difference between the RVs, and I'm sure that would blow up YouTube there. But no, it was interesting. But my point is that so Junior Colson went 69 overall. Nice. He went 69 overall, and I thought that that was a great pick. 98 tackles the last 2 seasons with Michigan, really impressive. And then Cornelius Johnson to round things out at the end there. Jim Harbaugh, I think, did overall very well. And number 5, Joe Alt, that dude is like a man mountain. I don't know if y'all if you guys have watched a lot of Notre Dame. I haven't watched a ton of Notre Dame, but that dude is like, he's exactly what they need and exactly like the type of player that Harbaugh would draft early. So what did you think about Jim Harbaugh's draft in general for the Chargers there and Colson and Johnson, TJ?
Well, I thought before the draft, I thought Joe Alt was the pick. I mean, because, and it's so funny because I don't know if you guys are into fantasy football or not. Like I'm into it. Like I'm really into that stuff. So I got a lot of fantasy football people I follow, and they all think Jim Harbaugh is going to air it out and be this aggressive pass pass heavy offense. I'm like, that's not Jim Harbaugh at all. He's going to run the rock. So I figured they were going to go offensive line. They're going to invest in the running back situation, be a possession team, focus on defense. So, I mean, you could just see the blueprint, like getting Junior Colson with Jesse Minter's defense. Like you need that guy. You need that quarterback in the middle of your defense. Well, he is that. He knows that defense. That's exactly why they went that route. And, I just think you can see what we saw at Michigan, how he built Michigan. You can see what the foundation he's trying to build with LA. And it's extremely fascinating. At the same time, it's a little heartbreaking because, like, what could have been, but it is what it is. We're moving forward. So, but yeah, I think he's doing a good job so far. We'll see how it goes, though.
Yeah. One little side note, don't underestimate. I mean, the sort of the marketing appeal of Jim Harbaugh. Really, the Chargers are kind of like the Clippers, if you as an analogous to the Rams and Lakers kind of thing. They moved from San Diego, which is 100 miles away or whatever, and there are a lot of San Diego fans that are bitter. But I've talked to one who was like, you know what? I'm kind of still supporting the Chargers now. And I talked to him about Harbaugh, and he's like, yeah, I can kind of get back into it a little bit, So don't underestimate that. I think the owner has made all kinds of missteps in the past, but I think the Chargers are on the right track. I think there's probably more energy with the Chargers than there is with the Rams, right now. We'll see what happens, but that'll be good. One little note about Alt. Can you remind me how many bench reps Corum did versus Alt? I mean, Corum's a much smaller guy, but I think he outdid Alt, right? He did 27 bench reps. I don't know what Alt did, but yeah. So
Look it up.
That was 32. No.
So
Chat's
anyway,
help us.
it is. I will say that bench
27.
rep thing.
27.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. So okay.
Corum did 30 in practice, but 27.
27. Okay. So Corum did 27. Yeah. I don't think Alt got to that. Arms are longer, so I will admit that might be a little bit easier for somebody who's a shorter. So.
Yeah, we have some very, very interesting comments right now because we have Minnesota Dave, who's obviously a Minnesota Vikings fan. Thank you for the quarterback. And we have we actually have Notre Dame fans every single week in here. And they support not just this show, but we have Notre Dame fans. They support every show. They come into the Mark Rogers main shows. They go into USC. There's a solid Notre Dame crew, and I appreciate them. And D-Rock is mentioning here some of the stats on Alt. Left Notre Dame 6'7", 321, and he started third on the depth chart. So he had to go up. So that's pretty impressive. And you got to be a tough customer to navigate that.
Now, Harbaugh was criticized for not having not drafting quote unquote a weapon, and I think he referred to offensive linemen as weapons. So that was a good quote that he got from a couple days ago when he drafted him. So.
Yeah, because he believes that offensive linemen are weapons because they, listen, I mean, just look at last year and what we did. I mean, we did 7 lineman sets, 8 lineman sets, right? I mean, versus Penn State, you had like 9 of them out there, a quarterback, a running back. It was insane. Mm-hmm. And so Jim Harbaugh has that in his repertoire. I don't know if Greg Roman's going to do it quite to that extreme, but still 6 linemen definitely, and you never know. So yeah, I think it's going to put a lot less pressure on Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's a great talent, but one thing is I think that due to bad coaching, they required him to basically be Superman. And this way, if they can build a very strong run game around him, then the pressure is going to be off, and then I think that's going to make him better. I think he's going to be a lot more at ease to just do what he does And this team could be scary next year, like this upcoming season.
I think they're a year away. They
Okay.
got a lot of holes. They got, you know,
Yeah.
but they'll be. I mean, they're strong in a lot of areas, but they still have a lot of holes.
That's fair. And then so Blake Corum to the Rams. So Blake Corum, you know, I thought I agree with you guys. I thought Ferris. I thought he was going to the Chargers, but it looks like the Rams just took him sooner. I think if it got to a certain point and no one had drafted him, the Chargers definitely would have. I think, but probably lower. But Blake Corum. To the Rams, I think he could immediately contend for the starting running back position there. What do you guys think?
No. Kyren Williams is no question RB1, but the thing about Kyren Williams is overusage, right? So they were giving him 25 carries a game, man. He was completely they were completely dependent on Kyren Williams. But what's good about Blake Corum, so it's going to be actually a very nice nucleus where Blake Corum's going to get a lot of short yardage and goal line situations, which we all know that's what he excels at. And then I will put money that Corum will not take. Does anyone know who Kyren Williams is? Like, do you guys not know what he did last season? Kyren Williams is like a top 5 back in the NFL right now. If not top 5, he's definitely top 10. So, Corum he'll get short yardage and goal line situation. Corum's a good back though. I mean, I'm not like there's no, you know, you got to understand in the NFL today, dual running back systems are the way. The bell cow running back is a dying breed. There's like maybe 4 of them, you know, so teams don't really want to rely on that because running backs get injured so easily. So you know, Corum will be productive. You know, it's just how productive we'll see. But I think he'll be Sean McVay with Matt Stafford. I mean, listen, you want to talk about a team that's going to be dangerous. The Rams are going to be dangerous.
So I will agree that the 2 quarterback system is our 2 running back system is what's much more prominent today. You know, I think the Lions, in a sense, kind of popularized the concept where everybody was saying, well, wait, you're drafting a running back that early? Don't you already have, you know, what's going on? So I think it makes a lot of sense. This is kind of the opportunity for Corum to kind of ramp up and then also stay healthy. You know, hopefully that'll happen for him as well. And I think a lot of teams NFL teams did not value running backs, but I think that pendulum swinging the other way where, you know, maybe not, you know, exactly what the Lions did is, you know, literally in the first round, but instead of thinking of a 15-year career, think about the value you can get in 5 or 6 years or, you know, under that first contract. And it could be very high value and it could be relatively early, relatively soon after you draft that running back, right? At least to be a contributor.
Yeah, I kind of think of Hassan Haskins at the Titans. What, you know, like they kind of have used him in various spots as a short yardage. So at the very least, if he doesn't overtake and he's used as a short yardage back, I mean, he's good enough to get, you know, if you need 2 yards, he'll get you 3, 4, 5, maybe more. Now, maybe not quite to the level he did in college because, you know, you're up against, you know, NFL bodies now. But still, I think he'll be able to you know, move the sticks if they need him to.
Well, remember this too.
I like that, Rod.
When you have a serious knee injury, the first year is the hardest. It usually takes a good 2 years to get back to 100%. And we saw towards the end of the season, Blake Corum was starting to get his burst back towards the end. So I do think next season, that's another one. Like, I'm excited to see Blake Corum in some preseason action. Like, that's like preseason football is gonna be really interesting for us Michigan fans because we have so many guys on so many teams. So, you know, I don't know if anyone's seen the charts. We're basically 3rd behind Alabama and Georgia in the last like couple years in the draft. So, you know, hey, it's going good for us, you know, and we'll just have to see how it goes when the season kicks off.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to think when Hutchinson is running in there unblocked, getting JJ. That's going to I'm going to be very conflicted in that kind of situation as a
Yeah,
as a Michigan
it's gonna
and
be
Lions
tough.
fan. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those where you might root for them or not root for them, but just like if they're facing a team you don't care about, then you might root for JJ. But then obviously if the Lions are up against them, then going to root for the Lions. Might be how it goes. But I'll be rooting for JJ. I don't care. I'll be rooting for JJ. I'm not like a super hardcore Lions fan. I'm kind of all over the place in the NFL. So
just a quick little note: Hutchinson's had this gigantic. I don't know if either of you saw it. This gigantic. It wasn't a mural, but it was an ad that was right next to the stage. But ESPN kind of blocked it with their own little graphics of who's getting picked next or whatever. But it was awesome. And I was there in person, but I was part of the 100,000 that didn't get in. 275,000 got in. I was just going to swing by, so I wasn't like super upset about it. But my only regret is I did not take pictures of all the different fan groups. And there's probably at least 12 teams represented in about the hour that I was there. That a whole group of fans all dressed up together, ready to go in, that kind of thing. So it was a fun time and crazy in downtown Detroit. There were people trying to charge $120 to park there. I have my little secret spot that I got, but for free. But
Honolulu blue is still blue, Sean. And I know you wanted to mention Sandra still before we get off of NFL, but we do have a super chat here. Minnesota Dave supporting the show. It's not even the Minnesota show. It's a Michigan show, and Minnesota Dave is supporting us anyway, and we appreciate that. Having 13 kids get drafted, is this Michigan's best draft? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think by 2.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep. Best draft, 4th best draft ever in college football. New record for 13 total, new record for most in the first 3 rounds. So it was, it was good for Michigan. It worked out.
Yeah, it's definitely good for PR for Michigan too, for the future. So.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ferris, I know you wanted to touch on Sanders still, and that pick, which, I think they did that he's going to be a real impact player, given what he did in college. But what did you think about that, Ferris?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little worried because he's, quote unquote, not the prototypical size, not the, whatever. But to be picked that early, I was very happy, and I think Washington will be a good fit for him. I think people just, perhaps when he's interviewed and, people just realize, oh my goodness, this is a player at a different level. Arguably top 5, top 3, maybe top 2 defensive players of all time for Michigan. Nobody's going to top Woodson for me, but, so great to see him drafted in the 2nd round. Who could have thought that would happen? The beginning of the season, let's put it that way, beginning of this last season. Right. So.
Yeah. Or even beginning of his career, man. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, his development at Michigan is the prime example of what you can do at Michigan. I mean, Sanders still literally made himself the best nickel cornerback in the draft. 2 years in a defense.
That 2022 Ohio State play on Stover.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to put his hands in exactly that spot at exactly that moment, or Cade Stover was going to get a touchdown right there. Like, that was a game momentum changer when they were in Columbus, a play that Michigan needed, and Sanders still went and made the play, notwithstanding all the stuff he did this past year too.
Yeah, I will say sports talk in Boston, so many things are going on. The Celtics and the Bruins are in the playoffs, Red Sox playing, all this stuff going on. They specifically mentioned him because he's, I believe, from Everett, Massachusetts. They talked about his high school. They were proud of him, being from Massachusetts. They mentioned him. They talked about it for a second on sports radio. So I thought that was pretty cool in the mix of all the other things going on.
Yeah, because Massachusetts isn't a powerhouse state or anything, although Michigan seems to get some guys out of there. We've been lucky with Massachusetts, but Thanks to Don Brown, honestly. He's the one who got the pipeline going there. But
yeah, I want to say Zinter too, right?
Is Zinter and
yeah.
Cornelius Johnson's from Massachusetts, I think. Quiddy Pay's from like Rhode Island or something like that.
Yeah, even one of our resident Buckeyes said that Sanders Still and Mason Graham are players that he liked. So I mean, even Buckeyes like this guy. So
I've heard that from a lot of rivals. A lot of rivals seem to respect Sanders Still.
Absolutely.
I mean, how can you not, man? He's a dog.
All right. When you're doing your shopping on Amazon, as many of us do from time to time, the link is in every single video on the Voice of College Football Network, where you can support Mark Rogers. And if you're already going to do it, now if you have no intention of shopping on Amazon, then just ignore this part. But if you're going to go and you're going to get some stuff, you're going to get it delivered, you might as well click the link on any video in the Voice of College Football, and then Mark Rogers gets a couple of bucks. And what's wrong with that? And then it goes towards the building our network and greater even greater content as we build these channels out. And you can also support by being a Patreon member or a YouTube member for as low as $2.99. In our Discord chat, we talk Wolverines, we talk other sports, we do hangouts, we do, I'm hoping we can get some more film review and game review going in the coming months. The last off season we watched the 2019 Clemson Ohio State game, and we had and it was a hangout. And it was Mark and some Clemson people and some Ohio State people and me and a couple others. And we were just eating popcorn, shooting the shit. And it was a Patreon only, YouTube member only hangout. And, I hope we can do some more of those. Maybe with some of the recent Michigan, Ohio State games could be shown. That would be really nice. Okay. So portal time, and we have some news that a guy that many of you know, after spending one semester at Ole Miss, he is coming back, most likely to Michigan, but as a wide receiver. TJ, what do you make of that? And what might have gone on there at Ole Miss to make him want to flip to full on wide receiver position at Michigan?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we're looking for the big body X, and he fits it perfectly. The only concern with Amorion Walker is his hands, the consistency with his hands, because he has everything else. He has the speed, he has the athleticism. So I guess Michigan was back channeling this for some time now, and they got Amorion to commit. Basically, I mean, he hasn't committed yet, but essentially agreed to entering the portal, and he's here now. Ole Miss tried very hard this past weekend because it actually went a little national that he was going to enter the portal on Friday. A bunch of major outlets had it, and even though we had it on Tuesday, don't forget that. But so word is Ole Miss gave their best attempt to offer some McDonald's bags, and to no avail. He entered the portal about like 2 hours ago, so he's in the portal. I would say very confidently he will be rocking maize and blue next season. And he's one of the wide receivers that they're looking to add this portal cycle. And I also want to add, because I was thinking about this, I don't know if a lot of people know this, the portal closes tomorrow, which is one, good for us, but two, that doesn't mean you can't get kids who are already in the portal. It just means you cannot enter the portal. So even if the portal closes, don't get too concerned about Michigan just yet, because they can still get people who are already in there.
Yeah, we need help at wide receiver. I'm super happy about this. So yeah, kind of looking through all the position groups, that is probably the area that be and any gain in wide receiver is good. We need help. We need to make it easy for our quarterbacks to have a margin of error when they throw the ball. We need our quarterbacks to get 60. We need, if Orgy's a starter, I think our consensus between the three of us is 65%. That's what Orgy needs to throw, right? Is that what
62? That's my number.
Yeah. That's your number. Okay.
Number.
So we need to creep into the 60s. How do we do that? Well, if there is some margin for error, the wide receivers can help us achieve that number.
Absolutely.
I know there's some talk about Samaj Morgan. I would say he just didn't get played. I'm not really that worried about it. I don't know if either of you are about him. He just didn't get played in the spring game because he's going to have a spot is the way I took it.
Well,
so
I don't know if it's that. I think it could be a chemistry thing. You're playing with different quarterbacks. You're also playing with it's not even first unit. It's like a bunch of guys mixed together, first and second unit. I don't put anything on it. It's one session out of 15, like we've talked about previously. I think Samaj is going to have a very prominent role. I do think consistency is going to be key for him. It's his sophomore year. But my concern level for Samaj is not high at all. I think, and also he will get better this offseason. He's a young player. He'll add weight. He'll get faster and stronger. So we'll see what he can do.
My dream scenario here is that Amorion Walker and Frederick Moore have this battle in fall camp. And then one of them is going to win. What if Frederick Moore beats out Amorion Walker? I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah. I'm very high on that guy.
Yeah,
and
you
I
are.
think I am.
It's okay.
But either way, iron sharpens iron. That's the mentality of Michigan, and they're going to battle. So somebody's going to win, probably Walker, but
maybe
the best three people will be in those positions.
That's right. Yeah, no, John is leading the Fred Moore train. You heard it here first. Okay, so if Fred Moore does become a guy next season, John's the guy to give credit to. But I think you're right. I mean, it's more competition, and let the best man win. I don't think just because Amorion Walker comes here, he's handed the position. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the truth is Amorion likes Michigan. I think he wanted to play offense more than defense, but they moved him to defense last season. So now he gets his opportunity, and we'll see what he can do with it.
And we do have a super chat from Drufus. Thank you, Drufus, for that. I'm assuming this means Warren. Start Warren. There's your 62.
62%.
But then he doesn't have the legs. The whole point of 62 is that, Alex Orji isn't just a pocket passer. He's also a dynamic runner. And I know that Davis Warren can run. I'm not saying he can't run. And I don't want anybody to think I'm hating on Davis Warren again here. I know I got some flack for that. But I think the number would have to be a little higher if Davis Warren was going to be the guy.
Yeah, I think we have to be realistic. I mean, JJ was at 72, if I recall correctly. Yeah. There is going to be regret. We're talking about the best Michigan quarterback of all time, ever. Including Tom Brady, including
Jim
Harbaugh himself. Right? So there's going to be some regression from that. Yeah. I think what you're saying is ideally Orji if Orji is the quarterback, he's running around, but he's also able to get to 62% when he does throw. If there's more of a traditional passer, maybe a few ticks higher, let's say 65 would be reasonable. 65. Right. Yeah.
That's 65. So anything above 65 is considered good. Anything below 65 is when it starts to get questionable. Anything below 60 is bad, and there is a lot of that in college football. So, I think Davis Warren, my number for him would be 65 with you, Ferris, and then 62 for Orji. And then dependent fanatic, lock Amorion Walker in. He's going to be a Michigan Wolverine, dude. Woo! I would say I'm 98% sure about that.
I need to get the lock emoji up here when he says lock it in for Michigan there. That's exciting. That's a big. I mean, we've been talking a lot about the people leaving the portal. It's nice that we're starting to see players now coming to Michigan a little bit more in the portal as well. And one of them is Dominic Zavada, who I had never heard of before. Full disclosure, I don't follow a lot of Arkansas State. Forgive me. But apparently he's pretty good, really good. and he just has decided to go to Michigan. And Michigan kind of, I mean, I know you don't want to read too much into the spring game. I get that, but I think Michigan kind of needed a kicker. So, TJ, what do you make of that pickup?
Yeah, so by all accounts, they were not happy with the kicking battle in spring camp. It was a little too inconsistent for them. So they went portal shopping, and they got a kicker who was on the Lou Graza Award for his freshman year. So he also has 2 more years of eligibility, which is huge. We also play Arkansas State next season, so that'll be kind of funny. Yeah, dude, this kid is legit, man. He's hitting 50-yarders. You can depend on him. His numbers are good, so this is a major get for us. Like, this is one of those things where, you asked me, John, I don't know if it was last show or now, you're like, is Michigan a national championship contender? Well, getting a guy like this helps that cause, because you need a kicker you can rely on in big moments. Ask Ohio State. So I think it's a big bonus for us, and let's hopefully they keep going with the portal.
Yeah, the ball's on the 30-yard line, and it's 4th and 2. You don't have quorum. What do you do? So that this helps with that decision. I think we had it good with Jake Moody for a while there, so that was good. Northville, Michigan's own Jake Moody. That's where I have been for 20 years plus. So a lot of coaches, a lot of fans really discount the kicker, but a kicker can make the difference. Ohio State could have a championship 2 years ago if a kick goes good, right? So,
if not for Jake Moody, who the hell knows how 2022 could have gone, but probably not as well.
Yeah. So that that 4th and 2, 4th and 3, ball on the 30. Make it easy to say that, hey, we've got a 90% shot at hitting the field goal. Let's take the field goal, if that's what we need to do, I think being a Lions fan, I know that they're very aggressive with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to take the points, especially early in the games, things like that. And I think kickers, from an analytics standpoint, if you're 5% better as a kicker, that can make a win or loss difference, in a close game. So you really have to value that.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about the sunshine and rainbows. Now we got to talk about the other side. So DJ Waller entered the portal, and he's leaving. And I forget, have they named the school yet for him or for DJ?
No, he hasn't committed yet, but he's going to Kentucky. All indications are he's going to Kentucky.
That's right.
Kentucky definitely did some tampering, and word on the street is actually there was a player on Kentucky. I'm not gonna say his name. There's a player on Kentucky who made that situation a little more more fast moving, I guess. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It sucks though, because he was going to compete for CB2, and it sucks, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this one hurts. This is one of those ones that does hurt. This isn't a playing time thing. This isn't it. All right, so I'll say this though. Kentucky's gonna pay him double what he was making at Michigan. That's what they're offering him at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to I think it was our last show, we were kind of gushing a little bit about him, and I was like, "Whoa, he's tall." I didn't realize, this hurt a lot. What's frustrating is this isn't quarterback where, quarterback with a Q. This isn't where, one player gets picked, and if you're not the starter, you don't, there's a chance you might not play at all. This is a rotation, and it's so it is frustrating from that standpoint. But if you got double the money, I guess you can understand where he's going then, because it's not, it's not to play against the best and win games. It's,
Here's what I don't get, guys. Here's what I don't get. Okay. I understand if Georgia is outbidding Michigan. Okay. Georgia won the last 2 national championships before Michigan's. I get that. But you're taking the money when you would have started at a program, or probably would have started CB2 at a program that just won the title, is probably going to go 10 wins in 2024 and be somewhere in the playoff conversation. Kentucky probably isn't even going to make the 12-team playoff. They're probably going to go like 7 or 8 wins. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I'm not going to talk in absolutes or anything, but
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a financial decision. We don't know what he's
Sure.
going through. I mean, I know Michigan wasn't willing to bargain with them. They weren't willing to raise the price because they don't want to set a precedence where every time a kid comes with a higher offer that they got to match it all the time, because that's how you create a toxic culture.
Yep.
They're not trying to do that, so
Yep.
it's it just is what it is. I mean, the kid hasn't started before. He's getting the money he's getting. So whatever.
Yeah, and maybe Jair Hill, has just put in enough work where, they could be okay with him being CB2. And so, if they didn't have Jair Hill as a potential other option, that might have been a different conversation about matching the NIL, or at the very least, going up a bit. But like, Jair Hill looks like he could potentially take that role, right?
Yeah, it was neck and neck. I don't think either one won the battle yet. I think they were both going to compete, and maybe they would do a rotation. I mean, look, like Ferris said, you basically have 3 corners, not including the nickel either. I'm talking about just outside corners. You typically rotate 3 of them. So hopefully we can land a corner in the portal. We'll see. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah. And we had some others, not as some of these people. I do remember talking about Jeremiah Beasley just not that long ago in the recruiting conversation. And now he's potentially going to Missouri. Amir Henning is potentially going to Kansas. And then just an hour or two ago, Samaj Bridgman. So it looks like I still say this is nowhere near the catastrophe that people were saying, like non-Michigan fans, maybe even a couple in the chat, we don't know. But they were saying, Mason Graham was going to go, and Will Johnson was going to go, and instead it was, Keon Sabb, that one hurt, DJ Waller, that one hurt. But yet you have other players that are that's a very different, when almost all of the players going are freshmen or sophomore or people that aren't really impact except for 2 or 3 players. I think this is nowhere near the earthquake, tsunami, catastrophe that others were predicting for Michigan. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting sunshine on it, but I don't think so. I think this is better than I expected it to go. TJ. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's better or worse than I expected. I honestly, I never thought it was going to be bad. I never thought it was going to be like some exodus like everyone wanted it to be. More hopes and wishes. I always tell them all the time, you're hoping and wishing, dude. Like, our rival fans seem to have a lot of hopes and wishes, But, yeah, I mean, the Keon Sabb one sucks. I just wish he would have freaking waited till the end of the spring, because then he would have saw right. So Keon Sabb, that's not about NIL. That was about playing time.
Yep.
And man, it would have been nice to have him.
Yeah, not even the end of spring. If he had waited, I don't know, when did the injury happen? Like 6 days later or something?
Yeah, within the week. So yeah, it is what it is, man. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, so really, Keon Sabb, DJ Waller is the ones that hurt the most. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that really sucks. I think that's maybe it off the top of my head. It is what it is. Hopefully we can patch some holes with some portal options.
You didn't mention Zeke Berry. Zeke Berry is looked pretty good, right? So far.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Really good. Why Kansas?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I know why Mizzou for Beasley. I don't know why
Yeah, I can kind of get Mizzou. Yeah.
Yeah, so Mizzou is for those who don't know, they actually have a pretty damn good NIL situation at Missouri. So initially in the high school portion of Beasley's recruitment, they were offering him a good amount of money, and Michigan was not. And he still came to Michigan because of Chris Partridge. Okay, so Chris Partridge, when he was here, unfortunately, he was let go.
Yes.
For stupid ass reasons. If people don't
Yep.
know, we don't gotta get into it, but stupid
Yep.
ass reasons. But so he was Chris Partridge. Beasley was Chris Partridge's number one recruit. That's why he decided to come here, because Chris Partridge told him, "Hey, you're the guy I want to build the defense around, whatever." So I guess he didn't jive with Brian Jean-Marie, and I know Brian Jean-Marie. He likes the Junior Colson types. He actually recruited Junior Colson when he was here, and Beasley's a little bit thinner, more athletic, or I don't want to say athletic, but like maybe more twitchy. But
yeah.
So it is what it is. Mizzou they have a very, very, very competitive NIL. So it is what it is. Kansas, I don't know. I don't know what the connection is there.
Moose did bring up, and I do agree that, while playing time was I think that was the primary driver of Keon Sabb, but he did get a new Mercedes, as a lot. Yeah. Remember, Nick Saban owns a fleet of Mercedes dealerships. So they can just go ahead and give someone a car, and it's pretty easy to facilitate that. So Keon Sabb, but like, would a Mercedes be enough to? Well, I don't know, man, because I feel like he could get a dealership deal at Michigan too.
He could, but here's the deal: Michigan actually offered him more money than Alabama did.
Wow.
So Michigan offered more money to Keon Sabb than Alabama. That's how I know it isn't strictly financial. He went there strictly for playing time because Rod Moore was going to be playing, guys. That's so you got to think of it from Keon Sabb's perspective.
Right.
He's like, oh, I got Rod Moore here, who's like going to be an All-American, right? My playing time's going to be nil, right? And plus, you got to remember this too.
Unless he took a Sandra Still role as Nickelback, he could have been the Nickelback, couldn't he?
Maybe, but I don't think. To be honest, though, so he would actually play more of a dime backer role, which is more limited. So it's like a Jordan Morant when he was here, and then he previously transferred to Florida. So it's a more limited role. So unfortunately the timing just was what it was. And if Rod Moore did not get injured, I feel very confident he would have stayed here at Michigan, because it wasn't money. Like, it just wasn't. It was literally playing time.
Well, with all that said, we do want to remind everybody that we do have a merch store here at the Voice of College Football, and a bunch of quality merchandise and products for the college football fan in your life. Get yourself some Voice of College Football merch. We do have, obviously, on the Michigan section specifically, everything from mugs to pint glasses, dog bowls, flags, shirts. And then for the main channel, there's about 3 pages worth of stuff. And it looks like the best selling, you've got the mugs and the keychains are best selling. The mug really is a good quality mug. I drink my coffee in it regularly. And yeah, Jackson Johnson, you may have seen him modeling the coffee mug at various points as well. But yeah, lots of good stuff here. Just check it out. Maybe there's something that maybe there's a birthday coming up or something coming up, and you might want to consider getting some merch. And then if you have a business, a product, a service, or a personal brand, you can sponsor the Voice of College Football main channel or Michigan football at the Voice of College Football with a sponsorship. So go ahead and email MarkRogersTV@gmail.com, and you can discuss with Mark how Voice of College Football and thousands upon thousands of enthusiastic college football fans can benefit you. So there you go. Okay, recruiting. So this Friday, apparently, TJ, we might be getting a commitment with this offensive tackle, Avery Gach. So walk us through that.
Yeah, so Avery Gach, he wanted to wait until summer to make a commitment, but the staff has been, nudging him to make a commitment sooner than later because they want to start building this class, especially because, as I mentioned last week, the offensive line recruiting is picking up so well. They want to start getting guys in the basket so they can start making spots more scarce. So guys have to then jump in quicker and make their decisions, which is exactly what this is about. We could potentially see a domino effect after Avery Gach commits on Friday, which will be broadcasted on YouTube. I think at like 3:15, 247's YouTube if anyone wants to watch it. 3:15 p.m. But I would say, just like Amorion Walker, you can lock this one in. He's going to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Lock. There you go. Lock it in. Now that's very exciting, and he's got some schools like a certain one, Ohio State, that was apparently some warm interest there. Michigan State warm interest. So the fact that Ron Bellamy, Sharon Moore, that these guys could win Avery over, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, especially because his dad's a former Michigan State alum. So
Wow.
he doesn't come from Michigan bloodlines. He comes from Michigan State bloodlines. So yeah, big get. Hell of a player, man. If anyone, I mean, like, I highly recommend anyone who is just trying to get into recruiting or wants to learn about these guys, check out their huddle tape. Next show, if he commits, maybe next show we'll show some of it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, the thing that you'll notice with the targets Michigan's going after, these guys are maulers. These are big dudes. I mean, look at me, 6'5", 290 already. That's a junior in high school. Think about that. Like, that's nuts. So, yeah, this will be a good get. This will be a nice foundation setter for the offensive line class this year.
Yeah,
Harris,
I think
any thoughts on Avery?
It'll be great when we can make this official. That's how I'll put it. This is exactly. Hopefully, the floodgates are opening now, and a lot of things that we were worried about aren't. We just needed to be patient. So just keep being patient. Let's see what happens.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he's a mauler.
He just somersaulted that guy.
He's a man amongst boys, dude. He just kills everybody in his sight. Look at him. Look at him.
Jeez.
20 yards down the field, dude. Yep. And just so you know, all the targets of this class that they're targeting are just like this, and actually some are better, to be honest. So it could be an extremely strong offensive line class, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and just his ability to read the plays.
Look at him.
His ability to read the plays and to adjust accordingly, that's a college level skill.
Yeah, and look at his feet in space, right? Look at him do the pulls and swings, right? Yeah. So I mean, he looks like a high level player, and I'm sure he'll develop well here.
So was there a battle with MSU? I see it in the chat here.
Barely. I mean, that battle died, like, from my understanding, like 3-4 months ago. So initially it was a battle, right? But after Michigan won the national title, I think he kind of leaned far more heavy us.
So speaking of players that might be swayed by the national title or other things, so Terrion Grant, who I thought was a hard commit to Purdue, looks like he might be leaning now, switching that to Michigan.
So it's a little early to I'm not locking this in just yet, but so it's trending good though. It's trending in a positive direction, I'll say. So this is a big time corner. He's ranked in the 30s, I think, nationally. Let's see, what is he ranked? He's ranked 38th. 38th.
Yeah, 38th.
Yeah. So this is another big time get, man. Like, if we could pull this off, just like Nate Marshall from a week ago, this is another major indicator that NIL is competitive enough to land these type of guys. We were not landing top 150 type players for the last 2 years. If we can pull this, that'll be major. He is committed to Purdue. If anyone doesn't know, you might be asking, why is this recruit committed to Purdue? And the reason why is because Ryan Walters, the head coach at Purdue, was one of the best DB coaches in the country. Okay, he was previously the defensive coordinator at Illinois when Illinois had that lights out defense and had all of those defensive backs from Kirby Joseph to Devon Witherspoon drafted to the NFL. So this dude's now that Saban's gone, you could maybe argue he's the best defensive back coach in the nation. So that's why he committed to Purdue. Michigan had him on campus yesterday. His 7-on-7 team was in the area, and they all visited. And there's actually a couple pretty highly touted recruits on that team. But apparently they made a major move. Actually, they made a move. I don't want to say major because we don't know the full results yet, but they are trying to flip him, and he's definitely just like Elijah Melendez at Miami. This is another one of those flip candidates that you can keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, it's also sort of pointing to the fact that we didn't really have the infrastructure for NIL, or what NIL was before NIL when it wasn't legal, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hopefully we've got that working now for freshmen.
Yeah.
Well, if you look, another interesting one is the number 7 running back in Ohio, Marquise Davis, or maybe the number 7 player. I'm trying to read that, but yeah, number 7 Ohio player, 11th running back nationally. But Marquise Davis is crystal balled. Every single crystal ball is going Michigan.
Yeah, John, can we pull up his huddle tape?
Yep.
All right, so Marquise Davis is so smooth. Like, this kid is, I'm telling you right now. So here's the news. He's looking to commit soon, real soon. And he's also not going to be visiting any more campuses. So it's trending Michigan heavy. He has a great relationship with Tony Alford. And Ohio State is going to try and make a last ditch. So here's the thing, right? If you remember, John, I think it was, or maybe it wasn't on the show. It might have been in the comments of the video. Some Ohio State fans were like, "Oh, Marquise Davis isn't even a prime target. Watch this kid. He's so fast, he's blurry, bro." But,
whoa, that looked like Dash from The Incredibles. There,
his vision, his balance. Watch him cut. Look at his balance. Look at his vision. Like, this kid is legit. Like, dude.
Oh my god!
Like, just watch him. I don't even want to talk. I just want to watch him. Like, I mean, him and Jordan Marshall. Can you imagine? So, like I was saying though, Ohio State is going to try and make a last ditch effort and visit him at school. But by all indications, Davis he likes Michigan a lot, and he's looking to close. He's looking to end his recruitment down real soon. And I would say close. I'm close to locking it in, but he's trending extremely heavy. Wow. I would expect it sooner than later coming to Michigan. Yeah, this is gonna be our next running back, dude. Yeah, he's
why
look at
wouldn't
the vision? Look at him. Oh my god, the camera can't even keep up.
Wait, what's everything so blurry?
Yeah.
And then like Ohio State guys are like, "Oh, well, we didn't want Marquise Davis." Yes, you did, and you want him bad. This is gonna be another. If we could pull this off, this is gonna be another victory over Ohio State.
And he can catch the ball too in double coverage.
Yeah. No, this kid's legit. We may have to do a huddle watch party if he commits.
Absolutely.
Just sit here. Don't even talk either. Just sit here and watch it because it's beautiful.
We're just jaw drops. Everybody's jaw drops, right?
Yeah, he's legit.
What running back would not want to come to Michigan now, right? So that's
right.
that. Think of the offensive line. Think of the machine that we have at running back now, right? So, and unlike Ohio State, which is closer to 50-50, we're at 62%, 62% running. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Nobody's. Oh, okay. So so the Rod, who I would say is one of our more reasonable Buckeye fans, is saying that Bo Jackson was just higher on the board.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But you guys aren't looking to add just one running back.
Right.
I agree. Bo Jackson, that is true. And that's also what made Marquise Davis, I don't want to say he knew it too, right? So I agree. Bo Jackson is higher that is true. I don't disagree with that statement at all. But you guys are also trying to get, was it Marquise Galloway out of California, Mater Day, who's one of the top running backs in the nation. So Those are your targets. And like, here's the reality of Ohio State, that some Ohio State fans, some get it, some don't. But Ohio State slow plays their own state a lot because they are a national recruiting brand, right? And they go after the big fish first. And they put a lot of resources into that because they have felt previously that as long as and this used to be true, they just have to offer a kid a scholarship and it doesn't matter. He'll just commit, even if it's like 2 months before signing day. And that really was the case even for Michigan. We lost a lot of guys that way in the past. But in the last couple of years, you saw with Jordan Marshall last year. And then the year before, we had that big year of Ohio. We had like 6 guys from Ohio, DJ Waller being one of them. Unfortunately, he's now gone. Now you're seeing guys actually are looking at Michigan as a legitimate option. And Ohio State has a little bit of competition in their own state now. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and I'd remind everyone that Ohio State did pick Kyle McCord over lifetime Buckeye fan J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
So I'm just saying, sometimes you might be second fiddle running back, and then all of a sudden, with that Michigan offensive line, with running over 60% of the time, that's the better place to be.
Yep.
Yeah. Some people in chat really like that. Ferris.
And then look at what they did to Kyle McCord.
Hey, I think he's going to do well at Syracuse. Actually,
I wish we had him. That would have been the best FU ever, man.
So with that said, so just taking Marquise Davis for warm interest, Tennessee, Kentucky. For some of these players like that we've talked about today, that Michigan was up against people who were offering money, in some cases a decent chunk of money, and yet Michigan's still holding its own, getting some of these players to come to Michigan. It can't just be because the degree's great. No. Ann Arbor's nice in the fall and spring, and you get a quality education, but like there's got to be some money for some of these players. So TJ, you've been following this NIL thing, and it just seems to me from the this is very early indications, right? This is like we still only have a couple of data points, but it's starting to look like the hiring of Sean McGee and some of these moves that they've been making the last couple of months, seems like things are finally trending in the right direction. What do we think?
Yeah, I will say 100% they're trending in the right direction. I would say 100% it's definitely improved. It's still not where it needs to be fully. Our NIL right now is in the low 8 figures, which is good, but even in Ohio State is better. So, and I'm not saying, and I know, and I'm sure there's gonna be people watching because I debate this stuff all the time. So yeah, I know we're not always going to recruit like Ohio State. I know, I understand, but we do need to be better than what we were, because if you look at the NIL era in the last 2 recruiting classes, we are 17th. Mm-hmm. That's not cutting it. I'm sorry. It's not like, and a lot of people be like, well, we just need to be in that 10 to 15 range. And to be honest with you, no, not really. We need to be in that 8 to 12 range and preferably top 10. That's where we need to be. And you need to get that foundation of talent in place. So this way you have a situation where we're not looking at DJ Waller leaving and it's potentially thin at CB2, or the quarterback situation right now, which although looks promising with Davis Warren and Alex Orji battling out this summer, a lot of these premier programs, they have another guy ready, right? They have a Jaden Davis already ready, right? So we need to just get it a little bit better. I think there's some indications. I'll tell you right now, that name Marshall one, that's not a fluke. It's something. I need more data points too. I'm still not like 100% like I'm not like, oh, we made it. Like I'm not there yet. It's definitely improved. Guys are definitely making more money. In terms of player retainment though, we're good. Portal shopping, I'm still a little, because like I'll be honest, I expected a little bit more action going on with a little bit bigger names, and I'm not seeing it so far. And there's not a lot of smoke right now. And the portal closes tomorrow, even though we'll still be able to get guys later on. It's just interesting. And then with the high school recruiting, we are actually seeing that pick up. The indicators for me is if you start landing top 100 guys, that means it's competitive. And as long as it's competitive, then we're in the game, and that's what matters.
Yeah, so let's look at this from a metric standpoint. I think this is a great opportunity for us to come up with some new metrics, and I think that the retention makes a lot of sense. The high school versus transfer, and then retention, you've got to look at that year over year over year too. You know, can you keep people? Can you keep players, freshman, sophomore, until they become an NFL player all the way? So, you know, those are the kind of things. And then we have to figure out, you know, is Michigan the kind of school that there's a sweet spot for where those transfers make sense? Is a transfer a backup when people leave? We've got to refill that, or are we going to be a factory for, let's say, older offensive linemen that are captains on their team from another team, and we're going to bring them in, and and we're going to bring them in for a year. They're going to be a graduate student. They're going to be upperclassmen, and they're just going to be plug and play. And that's the way we're going to do things. And we have, maybe it's certain positions, maybe it's certain scenarios, but it would be great to have an identity with respect to that, and that players know, players know that this is kind of how Michigan operates. And also that would be good for the younger players too, to know that stick around for 2 years. We're not going to get a transfer quarterback, after you've earned your spot. Maybe that's the indicator that we give. For example, I'm just giving an example. And then if you do your job, you're going to win that job, eventually. Those are some of the things that we have to figure out. How do you retain people and find that sweet spot? It's not going to work every time, but how do you find that sweet spot?
And you have to remember also, because the surface level of, well, Michigan doesn't need to do NIL as much because look at the players Michigan got. Look at the development. Well, yeah, but would Will Johnson have come to Michigan in today's era? Would Donovan Edwards have come in today's era? Would JJ have come in today's era? Maybe the answer is yes for one, but I don't know if the answer would be yes. Okay, yeah, Will Johnson, but
Blake Corum wouldn't.
Yeah, Blake Corum. I mean, these are these, like, he literally said he wouldn't have come. So you gotta at least be on the board. I'm not saying you gotta outbid LSU's $5 to $7 million for Bryce Underwood, for example. Like, that might have been an insurmountable thing to get past. But maybe you put up a couple million for somebody like that, and at least you put yourself in contention. But I understand transformational, not transactional. I get it, but this is a new world.
I don't. I'll be honest. I think that whole transformational, not transactional, was a way to protect themselves because they didn't want to evolve. It was like the stubborn man who didn't want to get with the times. I mean, I'll be honest. Michigan was stubborn, and that appears to be changing. I'll give you you want a good indicator of NIL improving. Look at the Michigan basketball program, because you're not getting all those guys, especially the ones we're getting, without a strong NIL, and you're offering these kids pay for play money. It's not happening. So, and we all know Dusty's very public about it. He says he spends 30% of his time going to donors and trying to raise money for his team. So the fact that you see the basketball team doing that, and we're getting some data points, as you stated, of improvement with football team NIL outside of player retention, I think that they're gonna say transformational, not transactional, because it's a good slogan and everyone likes a good slogan, right? But I think the reality is Michigan's evolving, and for all the rival fans watching, if Michigan really does get it together, like we know they're capable, and they're capable too, Notre Dame fans and Ohio State fans, they are. Michigan can be easily a juggernaut in the college football world, and you just got a taste of it in the last 3 years.
Well, somebody gave us 1999, Nick. So I'm gonna pause for a second, yield my time to Nick for a second here. So
yes, I was going to get to it next, but yes, Nick drop the 20 spot to talk about this. Pete Thamel reporting that Ryan Day has and by the way, this is not official reporting. This is a super chat. Just in
Seems
case there's
official
anybody
to
out
me.
there who's just
official.
listening and not watching the video.
I think
This
it's
is a
official.
super chat. Pete Thamel reporting that Ryan Day has undergone beard transplant surgery in an effort to make it look more natural. I don't blame him. A fake-ass beard is something he may eventually be able to beat, unlike Michigan. #soft. Discuss.
Yeah, I mean, the report looks legit to me. I don't see any issue with it. Snopes checked it out. Everything's good. So, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say but I can't really grow a beard, but when I do, it does come out gray. So I'm very surprised with black beard. When it, I'm skeptical when I see black beard. So, anyway,
yeah, just for men.
Yeah, just going to Ryan Day. I feel like we respect our opponent, right? We respect Ohio State. I'm not sure. Yet again, I didn't think this was going to happen for the 4th year in a row, but yet again, there are comments out there that where Ohio State is just looking right past Michigan. They think they're going to blow Michigan out. They think everyone's going to leave. They think everything's fallen apart for Michigan. We don't think so. We look forward to it. One thing we can be united on is both Michigan fans and Ohio State fans like Ryan Day.
It's true.
Right? I'd like Ryan Day to just keep being the coach of Ohio State. I'm happy with that.
Lifetime contract. Let's sign it.
Yeah, I'm good with Ryan Day. I think the culture he's building there is wonderful, and I think the mentality is great. And if you look at their draft results the last few years, it's obviously trending very well. Only four players drafted, same as Iowa. So I mean, they're on the right path.
Oh man.
Yeah. But hey, all jokes aside, though, I do respect Ohio State. I think they're a top 5 program in college football. I respect Notre Dame as well. I think they're a prestigious university, although they piss me off because they're independent. But that's what makes the rivalry great, because they do piss me off because they're independent, and they know they're independent, which is what makes it so wonderful, the rivalry itself. So, all jokes aside, having Ohio State and Michigan be the greatest rivalry in all of sports, and 2 teams that are at a premier level, battling every year, trying to literally kill each other is what probably made us all bigger fans than we would have been otherwise, right? So, so I'll give Ohio State that, even though their program is trending in a terrible direction.
Just think of that anticipation you have as that game is about to kick off, and how long we wait for that game. It is just fantastic for both teams. The best rivalry in sports.
And let's be honest, with the exception of 2011, Ohio State has been on this run of consistently very, very good, and then occasionally they win a natty for like 30 years. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So, giving them their flowers there, they're a very consistent program, and winning 11 games a year. Josh Pate was talking about this. He did an interview with Ryan Day recently, and he was talking about how, essentially you can't think, oh, well, you're just going to start, you're going to be 11-1. Or you're going to be 11 wins, and then you can just build from there. No, it starts from ground zero. It starts from day one and grinding, and you have to make 11 wins, with that talent and with good play calling and with culture and everything else. And so that Ryan Day is able to consistently get 11 wins. That's notable. So that's why I always said people who've been pushing for Ryan Day to get fired, I think are silly. I think when, he needs to beat Michigan one of these times here coming up. But
I mean, I think there's a legitimate issue at Ohio State. Listen, it's a great program, and like if there's any Ohio State fans like F this guy, look, if you get another coach, your program will be, you guys can pretty much get whatever coach you want. Kind of like USC was able to do with Lincoln Riley. So
right.
We know that, but the reality is, in my opinion, that the program since Urban Meyer has left is not trending in the right direction. And you can see it not only in the draft results, you can see it in the results against Michigan, you can see it in the playoff game against Georgia or the game against Oregon. It's not the same team. They are not winning in the trenches, and they are not recruiting well. If you follow Ohio State recruiting, and I know there's some people in this chat room who follow Ohio State recruiting, they're having trouble with offensive line recruiting. Just like Michigan has trouble with wide receiver recruiting, okay, because it's just not the program's strengths. So, in my opinion, if Ohio State doesn't win next season against us, you're probably going to get a new coach, which you're welcome. And it's just a sign of where the program's heading, which is why they went all in this offseason. Everyone has seen what they've done in the transfer portal and all of that. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Super quick point. I'll just say now with the 12-team playoff, Michigan won the last 3 games that really were all or nothing. I think going forward, most years both teams are going to make it, and I mean I'm putting. I don't know how I'm going to feel, but I will probably feel better if Michigan loses to Ohio State, but goes further in the playoffs. I'll probably feel better.
Yeah.
That would be a bigger accomplishment. I mean, at least the way I'm thinking. So I think we won the last 3 that matter. That's how I look at it right now. Going forward, everything's gravy. So
I think it'll always matter. I will say, and just look at the ratings. Ohio State, Michigan is by far the highest rated regular season game, period. And it beats other sporting events. It beats, and so I think it even occasionally would beat a playoff game or a, whatever. I mean, it's a very highly rated game. And I think it will continue to be. And it is the greatest rivalry in sports. And anybody who's not a part of it, I think, just pretends like their rivalry is great. But let's be honest. Half of the chat in Voice of College Football is Ohio State and Michigan fans sniping at each other. It's, it just shows you right there. All right. With that said, it's time for final thoughts and where can people find you on the internet. Apologies for those of you who are watching that we went a little bit over, but the amount of content that we had today, I think warranted a little longer show. Plus, I'm going to be out next week in the UK. So we'll be back to Tuesday night, but Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football, will host the show next Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be in London, but I'll be cheering it on as I try to do from the hotel rooms when I'm not here. But with that said, Ferris, first with you, final thought, and where can people find you?
Yeah. So you can catch me on Instagram and TikTok at Bobblehead Guru. Actually, on TikTok, they have this at Fenway Park. They have this sing-along song from the '70s. So I recorded that by Neil Diamond. I recorded that one, "Sweet Caroline." So you can catch that there. It doesn't compare with what Michigan has in Michigan Stadium, but anyway, it was fun to do that. Catch me there, and also please, if you have enjoyed this hour and a half that we've had, please subscribe. We are trying to get to 7,000 subscribers. We are trying to beat Ohio State, even though our channel is much younger than the Ohio State channel, from what I understand, right? So let's just blow right by them, please. And even if you're a Ohio State fan, please subscribe. Helps Mark out, and Mark is a Ohio State fan. So either way, you're helping both sides.
There you go. All right, Ferris. Well, we thank you again for being on. Go Blue. Good luck with everything you're dealing with with moving and everything. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks. Great to be on. Thank you.
Bye, Ferris.
Bye.
All right. So yeah, so that is something. I didn't think we were going to go Ohio State, Michigan for the last half hour, but you know what? That just shows what a great rivalry it is, and we had to honor the super chat. So there you go. So TJ, anything you wanted to share as a final thought for us?
Yeah, I forgot to mention when it came to transfer portal, there's a wide receiver, CJ Charleston, Youngstown State. So he just received a Michigan offer. Keep an eye on that one. It seems to be trending Michigan. He is only a 6-foot wide receiver though, so we'll see how that one goes. We'll see what comes of it. I don't have too much on him other than that.
Wow.
But
okay.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for more fireworks than just that, though, John, to be honest with you. But we'll see. It's early, and they're not done yet. So we'll see how it goes. But, hey, great show, John. Always fun. I'll miss you next week, dude. And, go blue, man. And if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, I'm on Ronin Sports Talk, just posting things. And, I'm down for debate and any discussion, even Ohio State fans. If you want to debate, I'm down. We can keep it respectful always. So, until then, but go blue, John.
Go blue, TJ. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
All right. And you can follow TJ at Ronin Sports Talk on Twix. And he also, I believe, is building a YouTube channel as well. But I'm going to put his Twix page right here and just go ahead and follow that. So with that said, my name's John Diadamo. I was your host for the last hour and a half. You can follow me on Twix at John Diadamo. I don't believe there's a show after this because the USC show will not be happening tonight per Mark Rogers. And so go forth and enjoy, and maybe watch some film as I like to do of Michigan beating Ohio State or something else. Or if you do nothing else, just subscribe to Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football. What are you doing to beat Ohio State today? And yes, as TJ alluded to, we'll be back to regular time, regular date next week. But Mark will be hosting instead of me because I will not be here. So thanks, everybody. And we will see you next time. Go blue. Thanks for being here.